and welcome back to another episode of Mikey Reacts. Today we've got a very interesting one from Brothers in Arms. It is the first living Medal of Honor recipient, in brackets Delta Force. So this should be really interesting. Obviously we've done the first recorded Medal of Honor, and this is the first living Medal of Honor recipient. This is going to be probably quite emotional. I can't really, acts that constitute receiving Medal of Honor are often so dangerous and so brave that the Medal of Honor is more likely than not offered posthumously. And for this to be the first living, it must be a genuinely incredible story. So let's get to this. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the content, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything out. If you also want to see some more content, you can look in the description. You'll find my Instagram, Twitter, and my Patreon, which is only $5 per month, and it gives you a host of privileges. So please sit back and enjoy this video. Let's get to it right this second.
In the early morning of October 22nd, 2015, Thomas Payne and his team stormed a prison in Iraq. Their target were two multi-story buildings holding over 70 hostages facing execution. Just as the special forces were engaged in a fierce firefight with the insurgents, the building suddenly caught fire while the hostages were still trapped inside. Time to free all the civilians unharmed was running out at a rapid pace. For what happened next, Thomas Payne would receive the Medal of Honor, America's highest military award. Payne was a motivated and very experienced Delta Force soldier with more than 13 years of service.
Wow.
In 2012, he had even won the Best Ranger competition, an annual 62-hour selection in which only 2 soldiers emerged victorious.
Wow.
In the process, Payne didn't let his severe shrapnel injury, suffered 2 years earlier during a deployment to Afghanistan, slow him down in any way. He deployed to every trouble spot in the world a total of 17 times to demonstrate his skills on special operations. Payne's numerous trainings included a sniper course, as well as the jump master and tandem master qualifications, which means that he can carry another person who has never skydived before when free-falling. On his current deployment, Payne was in northern Iraq as a deputy team leader to assist in the fight against the so-called Islamic State, which had captured large parts of the country. On October 22nd, 2015, Payne's team was tasked with freeing more than 70 Iraqi hostages held in the northern city of Al-Havija. The Special Forces had spent an entire week planning the mission and preparing for any contingencies they might face. When new reconnaissance images suddenly showed freshly dug graves outside the prison, it became clear that the hostages could soon be executed. As a result, the task force was given the green light for the mission, and the operators, along with their Kurdish partner forces, boarded several helicopters, which took off toward the IS stronghold shortly thereafter. The Kurdish forces consisted of a unit simply known as the Counterterrorism Group, or CTG, which is part of the Peshmerga and has worked with Americans in the past. Just before dawn, the Chinooks touched ground again, and the special forces rushed through the stirred-up sand toward the prison. After the Kurdish counterterrorism unit unsuccessfully attempted to blast an entrance through the prison wall, the Americans used ladders to climb over. While climbing over the prison wall, however, they came under heavy fire, seriously wounding Delta Force soldier Joshua Wheeler. Once on the other side, dust and smoke made it nearly impossible to see. Relying on his training, Payne led his team to the first building, where his medic left to help tend to the wounded man. The Kurdish troops were initially reluctant to move forward, but Payne and his comrades motivated them to advance despite the adverse conditions. On his orders, they successfully secured the building where the first 38 hostages were being held, encountering only light resistance. As they broke the lock on the prison door, Payne could see the expression on the hostages' faces change from fear and despair to excitement and joy. With the tension gone, some of them even began to cry. But for the Special Forces, the job was far from over. While the team was escorting the civilians outside, Payne received an alarming radio message. His comrades at the second building were making less progress and needed urgent help. The enemy had barricaded themselves and was resisting against the Special Forces with everything from grenades to suicide bombers. Payne could hear the noise of the battle all the way to his position and knew he had to act quickly. Saying, "Let's get in the fight," he led his men through the enemy gunfire to the hot zone. Arriving at the second building, he and a teammate climbed to the roof to engage the entrenched insurgents from above. From here, the team leader hoped to break the enemy's resistance, allowing the second team to advance. As the soldiers fought from the roof, they continued to take fire, not only from the enemy below, but also from the area around the prison. On top of that, the numerous explosions had set the building on fire. The flames spread to the upper floor, and some rooms were already filled with thick, dark smoke, causing the trapped hostages to run out of time. The risk of dying from smoke inhalation, or even being burned alive, increased with each passing minute.
Monza.com makes GANs great again. Yeah, you know what? I'm not going to say again, because they never were, and they're complicated. See, with Monza.com, making a Gantt chart is as simple as throwing your process of project stages here, adding owners and timelines and whatever other details you need here.
After Kurdish and American Special Forces made several attempts to establish fire superiority and storm the building, they were finally able to push forward, suffering heavy casualties. Payne climbed down to the first floor again, glanced at the prisoner's door, and realized it was secured with the same thick lock as in the first building. The battle for the hostages was still raging, and Payne was aware that to rescue them, he would have to expose himself not only to enemy fire, but also to the toxic smoke that filled the hallway. He had only a few seconds left to make a decision about the fate of the prisoners. He then grabbed a bolt cutter, and despite the enemy gunfire, ran to the steel door where he cut the first lock. The hot air and smoke were unbearable, so he had to go back immediately to take a breath. But there was a second lock blocking the door, and the hostages were still trapped. The Kurdish forces tried to open the lock themselves, but to no avail, so Payne again rushed into the inferno and broke the second lock as well. The combined forces then cleared each room to eliminate possible threats and free all the hostages. At that moment, a second message came in over the radio. The building was too badly damaged and was already beginning to collapse. All forces were ordered to evacuate, but Payne knew there were still hostages inside. Therefore, he voluntarily went back into the building and ran through the hallway despite the raging fire, as well as the unclear enemy situation. Many of the hostages were confused and did not know what was going on, but Payne got them all outside. He then returned to the building 2 more times to make sure that no one had been left behind. Only when all people were safe, he left the hostile place and reported to his team leader that they were now ready to evacuate. When the Special Forces left the building complex, there were still enemies nearby, so they took the hostages in their midst and walked like a human shield to the right and left of them. However, the civilians were so traumatized that they would reflexively stop every time the soldiers opened fire, which delayed the evacuation. Therefore, the Special Forces decided to cease their own covering fire, exposing themselves to greater danger so that the hostages would no longer be frightened and keep running.
Yeah.
After the group finally arrived at the helicopters, Payne faced another problem. Because they had freed so many hostages, it was unclear whether the helicopters could handle all the extra load. After some quick calculations, they were able to get everyone on board, but it was so crammed that the soldiers had to spend the entire flight standing up. In total, 75 hostages were freed.
Wow.
20 IS fighters were killed, and 5 others were detained.
Wow.
The hostages, Payne's strike team, and Kurdish partner forces returned to Erbil without incident. They had participated in one of the largest hostage rescues in Special Forces history.
Wow.
For his actions that day, Payne was awarded the Medal of Honor in September 2020. He is the first Delta Force member to receive this special award, still being alive. The first 2 medals had been awarded posthumously to the snipers Shugart and Gordon for their actions at the Battle of Mogadishu in 1993.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Joshua Wheeler, who had been hit during the assault on the prison, succumbed to his wounds. He had led his team relentlessly against the enemy forces to support his comrades from the other squad. When Wheeler was hit, he was at the head of his men. For the courageous action regardless of enemy fire, he was posthumously awarded the Silver Star.
Good for you.
A brotherhood that no one else could ever understand.
Wow. Really makes you think, eh? I don't even know what to say to that one, but that's extremely impressive, work. Joshua Wheeler, I believe, may rest in peace to him as well. That is incredibly sad. Also incredibly brave, and he was awarded the Silver Star, which shows incredible bravery as well. That was really something to think about. He really moved through fire, both actual fire and gunfire, small arms fire, with disregard for his own safety and more regard for the safety of his men and the hostages. So extremely impressive, and you have to be in a specific headspace to be able to do that. Not many people will understand the experience of being in that particular scenario. Pretty incredible work. Yeah, it's a good soul there. I don't really have much else to say, but yeah, amazing, absolutely amazing, guys. Thank you guys for recommending this one. I think it's recommended quite a few times, so thank you very much. It was a really interesting video. Obviously I did the other Medal of Honor against the Chechen forces, where that gentleman was also extremely courageous. It's just the courage that is shown in circumstances like this just blows my mind every single time. So really impressive stuff, guys. Yeah, I wonder what he's doing now. Yeah, I'm pretty much blown away, really lost for words. So guys, thank you so much. I'll leave it there. I really have nothing much else to say, because I just want, whilst I'm here, just want to say that to all those who serve and have served and will serve, thank you very much for your service. And to those family members who are now and here watching, who have family members who have unfortunately been killed in action, I really wish you Godspeed in everything that you do, and in, you know, life as it goes. And yeah, man, yeah. Well, have a great day, guys, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you very much for your support.